Jesse was telling us back like in early September, don't be shocked if Shota Imanaga is not in the Cubs' long-term plans. And it seems like we've arrived at that. I don't even know if a lot of Cub fans were totally tuned in or remembered some of the specifics of that free agent deal, that there was this clause that had to be triggered this offseason. I'm not even sure if in June fans were aware of it, and the idea that Shota might not be a Cub was probably a pretty strange one just 5 months ago, Jess, but here we are.
Yeah, what's up, Yerk? Good to talk to you, buddy.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure chatting with you.
Good. Yeah, I'm with you, Carmen. I mean, I had to remind myself about this weird contract he signed. It was initially 4 years, but the fifth year had to be decided after this offseason, and the Cubs had that option to extend it to 5 years and a total of $80 million. But if they declined it, he was able to exercise an option to get a little bit of a raise for 26, up to $15 million. If he declined that, he'd become a free agent, and that's exactly what happened. The Cubs declined, he declined, and now he's a free agent. But they can offer him this qualifying offer, which ties him to the Cubs if he accepts it for 2026. That would pay him $22 million. So maybe it's a strategic move to make a few more bucks for 26. If he rejects that, he can leave, but the Cubs would get draft pick compensation. So there's all these layers to it.
Right.
Only 14 players out of 144 over the years have accepted the qualifying offer,
right,
because all it does is tie you to that team for one season. Most players want security. They want multiple years, even if it's a lower AAV sometimes, because, 22 million is nice, but 45 million is better. So long story short, I think he's gone. More than likely he's gone. And I think we can analyze why exactly. I mean, the ending wasn't good in 25, obviously. He gave up 58 home runs over the 2 seasons with the Cubs, and that's with the wind blowing. Remember I wrote that
wind blowing
story?
In, yeah.
I mean, this is 2 years where the wind was blowing in. What if next year the wind's blowing out? So I think they just, figured the risk wasn't worth the reward, though they are short on pitching. So when you're short in one category, especially that category, maybe it is a little surprising they're letting him walk. Last thing is, I don't have full context. The GM meetings are next week, so we'll learn more from Carter and Jed then. But I'm not shocked by this decision, maybe just slightly surprised.
When's the deadline for qualifying offers, Jess? Is it this week?
Yes, it's end of this week. I think it's Friday. And so my guess is they will extend him the qualifying offer, because in their mind there are no bad one-year deals.
Right.
And yes, they'd have to pay him $22 million. But also remember, and Jed mentioned this at the end of the year, that they've really lined up most of their contracts, almost all of them, to end after this season outside of Dansby Swanson. Ian Happ's up. Nico Horner's up. And a few other guys as well, because, of course, there's the end of the labor agreement at the end of this season. So in their mind, I think a one-year deal for $22 million is not a big deal. They just didn't want to tie him. It would have been $57 million for the next 3 years. Guy's 32, remember. He signed,
makes sense.
Yeah, so
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, there's some reasons why it makes sense. Funny thing is, without that final month in the postseason, they probably wouldn't have done this. But they saw the writing on the wall. Things did not go well at the end. And that's probably foreshadowing, because as teams got used to him, and again, if the wind changes directions, it could really get ugly at Wrigley Field. So I sort of get the move.
Will he make more than $22 million in the free agent market?
Well, that's the point. I think he could sign for 2 years and 30, and the answer
but at
would
least
be
it's
yes.
2 years. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2 years and 30 would be exactly what he would have made with the Cubs if he opted in.
Right.
So I guess he's looking at, he can't do worse than if he had opted in with the Cubs. And let's say his agents start making calls this week, because he doesn't have to decide on the qualifying offer for a week or so. So let's say they start making calls and they don't hear anything good. Well, then he accepts the qualifying offer if they give it to him for $22 million. It's one of those things, it's usually never a bad thing to sort of go out into the market, because you probably won't get less than what you would have gotten from your old team. There are exceptions. This is probably not one of them.
Hey, 10 other guys became free agents. Which guys are going to end up coming back?
Well, I'd have to look at the list. You're talking about with the Cubs or overall?
I'm talking about the Cubs.
Yeah.
Cubs specifically, 10 other guys. Pitchers, Keller, I think, is one of them. Zavala is one of them. Guys that'll probably end up coming back, I think.
Right. The
Tucker
biggest,
obviously is one of those.
Yep.
Yeah. So I pretty much have said from midseason, I don't think Tucker's coming back. Several reasons behind that. Mostly on the Cubs end, I don't think they want to tie up 35 to 40 million in one player, let alone for 5 to 8 to 10 years. Even if his second half depresses the market a little bit, I think it's still not going to be affordable for the Cubs. I think they have some budget constraints, which I've written and talked about for a while now. So I don't think Tucker's coming back. I've almost basically all year not thought that. I'm going to win a bet with Cap when that happens, so I'm happy about that. And how they replace that production might be for another day because that's a longer conversation. Jurko. Brad Keller is very interesting. He has turned himself into a very valuable player, but the market now is going to, the ability to re-sign him was months ago, to be honest. Now he's going to go out. I know there's big market teams interested in him already. I know that for a fact. So are they going to re-sign him, or are they going to go that route they've done often with relievers, and that's kind of figure out your bullpen on the fly? And they've done well doing that in some instances, but they also have blown some games in trying to figure that out on the fly. You know what I mean? Like Brad Keller emerged eventually, as did some of these other guys, but we know they blew some games early with their bullpen. They rarely spend on their bullpen. So I have my doubts that Brad Keller returns. So there's another one. Savali and some of those other guys, Colin Ray, there's a decision to be made on him. I'm not sure, Jurko. It's too early in the offseason to know. But the biggest name, obviously, is Tucker, and I don't think he's back.
The White Sox picked up the option, as expected, on Luis Robert. He has another one after this year for 2027. The last two seasons, Luis Robert Jr. has an OPS plus, it's almost inexplicable, of 85. That said, he still stole over 30 bases this year, and he's still a plus defender. I mean, he showed you he's still got some juice in his legs, and he still plays a pretty high-quality, high-caliber center field. Do they trade him this offseason? Do they do this dance again and try to do it at the deadline next year if he continues to improve his value? What do you see as the most likely path for Luis Robert Jr. on the South side?
It's what you said. They will continue to try to trade him. I mean, just from a baseball perspective, Luis Robert might be more surprising than Shota Imanaga. Meaning, you just mentioned his OPS plus, and
85.
He's getting a $5 million raise.
I know.
He's making, guys are based on what they just did. Guys' salaries, right? And he just had 2 85 OPS plus seasons, and he's going to make $20 million next year. $20 million. Because, again, he has that skill set that I think Chris Getz believes is going to emerge and make him very tradable, probably more likely in July than this offseason. Because how is this offseason any different than last offseason when he did not hear a return that he was interested in?
Good question.
It's the exact same numbers. He had 14 home runs each of the last 2 years.
Same WAR. Exact same. 1.4.
Yeah, he reduced his strikeout total. He's chased a little bit less, so that's a good thing. But he basically was the same player this year as last year, played in a few more games, but, still had a couple injuries.
Yeah. But
making now $20 million. So I think they're, again, go through the first half and see if he's tradable, knowing that he still has that option for 2027. If somehow the White Sox have this amazing first half, maybe they keep him to contribute. But it's kind of crazy that they picked up for one of the cheaper teams in the league, they picked up a $20 million option on a guy that has not produced in 2 years.
I know. It is pretty wild. So where does the 7 games go down for you? Covering it, being at those games in L.A., just as a baseball fan and as a baseball reporter now. I mean, it was a pretty epic series we saw.
Yeah, now I'm a product of recency bias, but Cub fans are going to kill me. If you take the whole 7 games in total, including, obviously the last game and how that went down, I think it surpasses 16. I think it slightly surpasses 16. I know I'm speaking blasphemy to Cub fans, but the 18-inning game and then this last one, there was just so much going on throughout that 7-game series. I think it does. I think it surpasses 16. But they're neck and neck. It was incredible. And it really was incredible to be in the Toronto locker room. I went to the losers locker room afterwards. I've been in the Dodgers locker room enough. Mm-hmm. And, man, it was like watching a scene out of a movie. 41-year-old Max Scherzer with a tear just running down the side of his cheek. You know how you watch a movie and so just an actor has one tear running down the side of his cheek. He had one tear. Ernie Clement had more than one tear, just his eyes red as can be. That was a devastated locker room in Toronto. But, man, they earned a lot of respect around baseball, the way they played the game. But they blew it. They blew it at the end,
If they could run the bases, they're World Series champions.
Yeah, funny thing is, live, I didn't realize the bad lead and everything. You're watching it live. I didn't really realize it.
But it's not even just that, Jess. It's the base running gaffes in Game 3. We talked about it when you joined us the next day. It's getting doubled off to end Game 6. It's Isaiah kind of Falefa not having any sort of secondary lead whatsoever, and then not even running through the base, for crying out loud, on a force. What are you doing? I mean, it's a force play.
And I thought Dave Roberts actually managed a great postseason.
Yeah,
I thought he managed great. The walk and then moving the infield back before the double play to end the series was really smart. I mean, Alejandro Kirk, all he had to do was get a fly ball. I mean, they just missed big opportunities on the bases, at the plate. They blew it. They blew it. Lost 2 games at home, leading 3-2. But it was a great series. It really was.
It really was. It was great for baseball, and the ratings were huge. That's why it'd be a shame. What do you think happens this offseason? I mean, like, do they get to the table? I mean, I'm sure they will. Will there be any movement? Do they have any? Is there any way they can bridge this gap, or is this just going to drag out till next offseason and then, God forbid, there's a prolonged lockout? I mean, I hate to say it, but it feels like that's where this is going to go. What do you think happens this offseason in terms of the bargaining agreement?
Yeah, I mean, they'll start negotiating in the spring probably when players are in spring training and they're, the leadership can talk to them and weigh options and stuff. So bottom line, though, I think we're headed towards a lockout. Now, whether there's missed games or not is another story. But I don't see them coming to an agreement before December 1st next year, which is when this current agreement runs out. So they have a full season. There's going to be a lot of, for lack of a better word, trash talking. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Both sides are going to talk tough.
Yeah.
But I do think the owners are going to go to the mat for a cap. I do. I mean, they're going to make the case to the fans who are in favor of it already. The polling shows that. They're going to continue to show the other 3 sports. You don't see too many players complaining about the caps in the other 3 sports. Players are making all sorts of money in the other 3 sports. It will depress the top of Soto and Shohei. If the next kind of signing like that won't be as big,
right?
If with a cap, but there'll be plenty of trickle down effect. I mean, that's the case they're going to make. I think they're going to go to the mat for it. It just is a question of whether they're willing to miss games in a big portion of 27. But I can't see an agreement before December of next year. Certainly, and probably not in before February or March of 27 either.
I'm sorry, where did you say the GM meetings are next week? Where are you going?
Just a little place called Las Vegas.
Oh, a little place called Las Vegas. We're jealous. We'll talk to you from Vegas next week, okay?
Oh, maybe if you can get a hold of me.
Oh, stop it. There's going to be, you're with the movers and shakers. We got to talk to you from Vegas. Great work all year. Another great year, Jess.
Thank
Seriously.
you.
Good work, buddy.
Yep.